Okay, one last video. This one has to do once again with how I always try to put a different object in front of the. This is an upside down bucket that I have here in my backyard. I always try to put a different image so they don't all look the same. I just put anything, for any reason. That right there, that actually belongs to a generator that went bad. I bought that to install it and I never got to. Now, this is a message to human resources. And this is going to be simpler and straight to the point. I may have touched it in the past, but I want to emphasize it. I really do. Stop, please. Stop justifying the female horniness, please. Stop justifying it. Stop covering it up. Stop dismissing it as if it doesn't exist. Please stop doing that. You guys in human resources are finding every excuse out there to, again, to hide that natural reality. I don't think you're hired to dismiss the female horniness. I think you are hired to just follow written policies. Policies that, in my opinion, should be equally to both men and women. But no, not today, especially thanks to the Me Too movement. It favors the women like 1,000%. So no matter what a man says, it's still his fault. No matter what a man says, it's still his fault. No matter what a man says, again, it becomes a bit disturbing. And I know that this subject is, when it comes to the female horniness, bellaquera in Spanish, it's like the Holocaust. It's things we don't like to talk about, things we don't like to recall or remember. Just like human trafficking, things we don't. Sometimes when you see a news and and there's human trafficking, especially of minors, yeah, it's sometimes we change the channel because we just don't like it. Or of women being violated by a man, yes, these are things that are horrible things. Gaza, Epstein, like I mentioned before. Uh, yeah, it's something we don't want to be talking about all the time, but we have to recognize that these things are real, and that's my bigger point. These things actually happened, and these things continue to happen. A lot of this misbehavior that humanity has within, individually and as a group. And guess what? I was working 13 years at U.S. District Court of Puerto Rico. And as Evelyn knows up in HR, because I've told her through the many years, I had the hardest time not to sleep with women. Now, why do I say that? I say that because, hey, I'm a straight man. There's beautiful women there that were always looking for me for that hanky-panky game. It wasn't just for that. They would look for me for computer support, but a lot of them did look for me for badness. And despite the fact that I tried and I achieved not to screw with anybody, not to fuck anybody there, I achieved it. 13 years, no fucking. But I'm still the bad guy. Isn't that ironic? Human resources. And this is not just for the human resources of U.S. District Court of Puerto Rico, but human resources anywhere in the world. You guys are protecting whores and promiscuous women and horny females. But in your investigations, women like this don't exist. Yes, in human resource investigations, at least in my experience, horny women don't exist. Promiscuous women don't exist. Women that sleep around do not exist. 304s do not exist. Whores or sluts do not exist. They don't. That's conspiracy theory right there. 100% conspiracy theory. Because we all know they do exist. Like I mentioned before, there was a guy called Nelson many years ago. Cool guy. He retired. I remember one time he told me, and it was funny. Because he's like, man, these women can't keep their mouth shut. I sleep with them, but they don't have to be telling every other girl there. I remember he told me that. I remember he told me that before he retired. I don't know why they have to be telling all the other girls that they can't keep their mouth shut. Well, dude, I'm not gonna judge you or anybody else, but I have to bring out my investigations into reality because HR is not gonna do it. HR doesn't do it. HR picks and chooses and snipers people out of a job, but they will never admit that women are horny. They will never, nunca van a reconocer que sus mujeres ahí federales son bellacas, igual que los hombres. But that's not normal. That's not good. It's like the Holocaust. Oh, I don't want to talk about that. You know, a lot of innocent people died in that Holocaust. They were tortured. Oh, that's ugly. That's ugly. Just like the behavior of a lot of federal employees, including women. And that's my point. That's my point. HR is never gonna find women horny because guess what? Most of them are women. Most of the HR women or personnel are women. And who knows? They're probably part of the game too. They probably like to spread their legs. So if you accuse Betty, for example, for being a horny slut, and you're telling this to HR, HR might be saying, "Oh my God, I hope he doesn't know about my sluttiness with this person or that person, whatever." Again, women have a tendency of identifying with the other person's badness or even goodness, but they don't have the capacity of disconnecting from that. They don't. This is why I don't like the idea of women running HR because they put themselves, and again, this is fake empathy. This is not real empathy. This is a false empathy that they will utilize to accuse men because the HR person, sees themselves as a victim, just like that other girl supposedly is a victim, and they use it to cover each other up. Again, they use this form of false empathy to cover each other's bad behavior at the workplace. In this case, promiscuity. Now, I'm not saying HR do that or not, but the possibility is highly there. Because again, if so many other women, and not just me, and I'm not a good-looking guy, this applies to a bunch of guys there that I know slept because they told me. They told me. Even some of the women there that were more open would tell me about the conversations women had when they were together about having sex with this probation officer or with that probation or with this federal agent or and they again they talked about it like if they achieved something great again, and this happened not after hours, not outside the workplace. No, these women, according to one that left on her own, you know, she didn't like that place. I already mentioned her, but I'm not gonna mention her here in this video. But even she told me, yeah, you know, sometimes, you know, we get here, you know, we go to one's office and we start chatting and we start tearing each other apart, who we slept with, you know, what other federal employees and a lot of them were married. Wow, that's incredible, you know? That's truly incredible. But the thing, once again, that I want to emphasize, because we need to see reality, we need to see the truth. I don't like it when I see human trafficking on the news. It makes me feel, God, you know, poor little boy or poor little girl. You know, see that gives me the ick. You know that's where it's merited. Like I mentioned in the previous video, that should disturb you. That should be. But when it comes to the female normal, because I'm not going to say it's abnormal, just like in the man, you know, it's just that men make it more obvious. And that's where we all get reality confused. Men make it more obvious. Men are more visual. We will look, you know, attractive. But guess what? If you have your titties halfway out, there's a reason why you have that. Again, there's psychological reasons why women like to dress provocative. Provocative. Yeah, they can come up with the excuse, yeah, but it's so I can feel better about myself, or I compete with other women. Well, guys can say the same thing. Well, I look at your tits because they make me feel good, make me feel good about myself. That would be stupid for a guy to say that, but it's okay when a woman does it, you know. It's stupid when a man uses the same excuse a woman does. So it shows that women are privileged to have childish excuses for their bad behavior. Men are not going to say, well, I look at women, I sleep around with women because that I compete with the guys. No, also a stupid excuse. It works for women though, because again, we treat them like kids. So when women use childish excuses, it's believable because subconsciously, even HR subconsciously are admitting that women tend to have a childish perception when it comes to this subject. I'm not saying they can't do a good job, you know, printing IDs or doing paperwork when it comes to clients or investigations. No, I'm not saying they're not smart enough to do that. But when it comes to the hanky panky world, both men and women, we tend to be a little uh, natural and a little more, maybe even childish, you can call it. But especially on the side of women, because again, they're believed, but not men. Oh, you're just a perv. Women do it. Oh, she's empowered. Makes no sense. But again, socially speaking, society continues to treat women like kids, like children, and they don't realize it because the same dumb excuse that a woman uses is laughable when a man uses it, but it's empowering or it's serious when a woman uses it. Do you see the level of stupidity that society has come to? Do you see it? So once again, let's stop making believe that these things do not exist. Yes, there's bad things that have existed in history, but you can't ignore them. Slavery, when you look at slavery, yeah, it was a sad event in history. The massacre of Native American Indians. There's a lot of bad things that happen in history, but there's a lot of bad things that happen daily. It doesn't have to be a historical event. There's daily normalized bad behavior that also should be looked at. So don't become triggered or uncomfortable when it comes to me, for example, exposing these realities. And we all deep down inside know this to be true. Even HR, they know this to be true, but they have to play the stupid game of all men bad, all women innocent angels that fell from heaven. Stupidity, pure stupidity. But again, that's my message to human resources. It's shameful that you guys don't treat everybody in equality, like I've said many times before. Use the same exact rules or canons or policies or ideologies. Same way you use it for women, use it for men. But there's no me too for men. It's just your fault, period. So I know my language is harsh, which is your language in the end. This is not normally my language, but it's the only language you understand. Because when I worked there and I made these concerns aware to HR, I spoke them in the right language. I spoke them in respectful language, and you didn't listen. But now I realize, you know what? They don't understand civil language. They understand the promiscuous language that deep down they all have inside. That's what they understand. That's what's going to trigger them. That's what's going to make them worry. Because when you speak to them in a tone that's nice and humble and, I don't know, with civility, they don't understand. Basically, you have to tell them, this girl's, is trying to spread her ass so I can stick my member in it. Oh my God, what did you just say? Exactly. That's what I've been saying for almost 13 years in a nice way. But you have to hear it in a harsh language. The only thing is that right now my investigations are being made public. It's not as private as when I said these things to HR in a private federal building. Now it's more public because I think the public, the taxpayers that fund your salary, I think they should be aware of what goes on here at U.S. District Court of Puerto Rico and probation. That's the reality there. You guys didn't care before, well, don't care now. You guys didn't listen when I spoke these things in the proper language. Well, now I'm saying it in a language that everybody in Puerto Rico can understand or in the world. Street language, which is the language once again that I mean a lot of people at that federal building spoke these harsh realities with this harsh language. It's just that HR almost never came around to becoming aware of this. I mean, I remember, and I mentioned this before. I remember at one time I asked one of the IT guys because I mean it's so common up in probation, women sleeping around like crazy. And I asked that other IT guy from Corozal, I don't want to mention his name, but very, very nice guy. I asked him, If it's the same thing here, at the courts. And he's like, oh yeah, it happens a lot. The problem is HR never becomes aware of it. That's what he told me. And he's like, plus it's gonna happen more in probation because the women down here are not that pretty. He was truthful. He was factual. Women down here are not that pretty. So it's obvious it's gonna be more abundant up there because the women up there are hotter versus the girls down here. But yeah, it still happens. It's just that HR just never finds out. I mean, they probably do sometimes, but not the whole spectrum of reality. So once again, this is for the American people. This is for the Puerto Rican people. That's your federal government there. It's Sodom and Gomorrah, like I've said before. These people are not as pure or innocent that they make it out. And once again, human resources, stop excusing and protecting and covering up, just like the FBI did with Epstein and the CIA and all these intelligence agencies. I know they cover, Mossad, they covered up Epstein. They covered up a lot of bad things. That's very federal. Well, it applies also to the courts and to probation. That too is very federal. To cover, to dismiss, to not let out other bad behavior like this one. And again, I know the world today is very feminist, very liberal, and the latest weapon, Me Too, which I detest. I mean, I believe in protecting women, but not whores. You don't protect promiscuous women. You don't protect the horniness of a female. You protect an innocent female. I think Me Too, yeah, protect innocent females. But if HR, if you know this female has slept around with a bunch of guys or has had issues with a bunch of guys, she no longer deserves the protections of Me Too. Protect innocent women. Use Me Too for women that you know are nice and innocent. And keep a good record of that. So if the same thing happens to that new innocent, so-called innocent female, and then a third time, already you should know, okay, something's wrong here. These women are not that innocent. And I know you guys know it. I know you guys know it because once again, and I will reiterate it, I will emphasize it again. When Agnes talking with Evelyn up there in probation, because this is something Evelyn told me, what's wrong with the women up there? I mean, Evelyn told me, yeah, because she's aware that the women up here sleep around a lot. So they know. They just play stupid. And again, I'm pretty sure they most likely debriefed Judge Arias. And I said it before when he said during my appeal, when I tried to explain the environment, let's focus on you, Mr. IT guy. Why did he do that? Because he did not want to hear it. He did not want to hear it. He did not want to hear the truth about that work environment, which he already knows. In other words, don't use that as an excuse. I'm not using that as an excuse. I'm just saying if you're going to judge me for this, you have to judge everybody for the same thing. That's justice. That's true justice. Because if you know somebody uh, killed, murdered, deleted somebody from existence, and you know that in the whole town there's 20 other guys that did the same thing, why do you just arrest one guy when you have to arrest all 20? See, that's true justice. See, that's consistent justice. And that's my point when I said many times, he without sin cast the first stone. If you're going to condemn me, you have to condemn a bunch of others. But the judge doesn't want to hear that because he doesn't believe in justice. Because if he truly did believe in justice, he would ask more. He would actually ask me, well, tell me more, Mr. IT. Oh, and who else? And who else? And he should be writing down. Or he should have the stenographer writing all that down. And then telling me, well, Mr. IT, thank you for what you've revealed to me here today. We're going to further investigate this. In your case, we're going to postpone this appeal to another time so we can analyze a little better these allegations of yours. You see, that's a freaking real judge, not the asshole that Raul Arias resulted to be. I thought that's what he was going to do. I thought that was going to be the results of an intelligent man, if you can even call that a man. But once again, forgive my intelligence, forgive whoever's listening, forgive my ability to think outside my ass, the Me Too ass, and really think and use your brain, because that's what the judge should have done. He should have let me spoke instead of violating my constitutional right to defend myself the best way that I could because I did not have an attorney. He shut me up, and you know what? I respected uh, his demand, which in the end did not benefit me. But that's what the judge should have said or should have done. Okay, tell me more. What else is going on here, Mr. IT? This and this and this. Oh, thank you. Thank you. You know why I'm grateful, Mr. IT? Because I don't want this work environment to be that. I don't want anybody to be doing these things. All of these horrendous things that you are allegedly telling me about this. That's why we're going to, again, postpone your appeal. We're going to further investigate because this is not right. You're correct, Mr. IT, for bringing this up to my attention. That's what a real judge does. But he's not a judge. He's an asshole. Again, he's an asshole. He's not a real judge. He's a fraud. So once again, that's what should have happened. That's what should have happened. And Arias, you're protecting horny women in the name of Me Too, in the name of whatever ideologies are out there. You're also ignoring the nepotism of Antonio Giorgi and Aida Delgado. And you're ignoring a lot of bad things that I've already mentioned in all these videos. You don't care. And that's worrisome to me. And it should be a worry to the American people. It should be a worry to the new administration in Washington, which is canceling all this DEI crap, woke crap, and all of all this stupidity that is running amok in the Western world. So once again, HR specifically, stop protecting or dismissing or hiding the horniness of your gender. Yes, it's horrible like the Holocaust. It's horrible like slavery. These are subjects nobody wants to talk about on Christmas morning. We go to war, we kill innocent people. Oh, we don't want to talk about those things. No, it's ugly. Well, this is another ugly that needs to be spoken of. Another ugly in our reality that you guys cancel out. You did it with me for 13 years until you got rid of me. Because words are worse than the promiscuous behavior at U.S. District Court of Puerto Rico and probation from all groups of people. Again, stop protecting or covering up for horny women. We're not in the 1930s or 40s where women were more innocent, much more decent than today. It's ironic. And yes, I'm the bad guy. Yes, tell your employees, don't you guys dare listen to those videos that Mr. IT is putting out there. They're lies. Of course, you're going to say they're lies. Of course, they're going to tell you they're lies. Of course, they're going to tell you I'm exaggerating. Of course, they're going to tell you, no, he never really reported that. Yes, I did mention these things to HR, to Agnes, to Anton Georgi, to Evelyn above all, and to Yarisis. I mentioned these things, but they choose to ignore. Of course, they have to protect their jobs, so they're going to be the ones lying. Because I swear it on the life of my kids that that's exactly what happened, like I've said before. I don't like swearing on anybody's life, but that's how serious I am to the realities that I lived at that federal entity at Chardon. Very, very, very promiscuous women that are being covered up and protected, but no, the guy has to go because he has the wee wee. The girls, well, they're victims. They're children, so we have to protect them as that. Well, until next time.